Remember, let us remember. Remember, we are in the holy. Let us remember, presence of God, presence of God.
You know, it's one thing to have a career as a teacher, it's another thing to have a vocation as a teacher. I think a vocation, as you know, the word itself, vocation, comes from the Latin to call, and that this inner calling is what's motivating the teacher to move into these classrooms, and that the students that come to us are sent to us by God. We see that, and we know we're responding to that call as we interact with those students in that classroom. That's much different than following a career path.
I've been at St. Mary's since 1981, so I'm starting to get a hang of the place. And what I do tell new faculty is that they find some way of connecting what they care about, what excites them, with the larger intellectual life of the college. When that happens, people find themselves very satisfied with their students, their colleagues, and the work that they do. If they don't, if they come here, teach their students, and then use this as a base to go off and do whatever it is they really care about, they find it very unsatisfying.
Every single new faculty member needs to spend, I would say, at least the first 3 to 5 years that they are here carefully studying and learning the culture of the college. Because when you do, then the respect that you have for this institution grows. It's not an easy feat to distinguish yourself as a liberal arts, private Catholic college steeped in the Lasallian tradition. It's not an easy feat to hold fast to values in a world of changing and challenged values, and not to learn the culture that makes those events, those truths, real and stable. To me, it's very simple, then you don't belong here.
It seems to me that if we look upon the statue of Saint Lasalle as holding out something like a entrance requirement for the college, it seems to me that it, like Plato's injunction, needs to be taken on many levels. Similarly, it seems to me that with regard to Saint Lasalle's injunction, God is present in the things around us, say simply in the natural scene, but God is also then present both in the subject matter and also in the occasion, the life of our class discussions and say in conferences and in writing papers. God is present further, though, in prayer, to which all of this finally directs.
I think mutuality of teacher and student is certainly increased by sitting in the office, preferably with the phone turned off. The office is a better place than the classroom because it's a more informal place where friendly exchanges can take place before you ever start to talk about ideas, books, and all those important things that the student may have come in for.
I've been at St. Mary's College for 16 years. And probably the most important invitation I had was from a Christian brother, Brother John O'Neill, in fact, to enter into teaching with new eyes. And the new eyes are, you have the students you have, you meet them where they are, you take them forward. You don't think about the students you don't have. I think about the fact that they really are coming to an institution that has not only an obligation but a privilege to serve a diverse population of students. And in doing so, they really need to think about where the students are and take them forward, not the deficit model of what they don't have when they come. I also want them to know that they have support and that they're entering a community that values community. And a number of universities and colleges don't have that ethos, don't have that value, and it's much more competitive. And so I like to invite new faculty into a community that values this kind of support of one another, and to tell them that they not only have that in their department, in their school, but they have it college-wide.
I think we have to continually to talk to each other about it. We have to keep in mind that that is a very important element of what being at St. Mary's means, and we have to do everything we can to remind all of us, ourselves, our administrative colleagues, our staff colleagues, that we're not separate groups.
I'm mentoring a new faculty member now, and my responsibility as a senior faculty member is to make sure that I do everything that I can to support her and guide her and mentor her and help her. And that's something that I take very seriously, as do my other colleagues. So that the last thing that I would say is that it's very important that new faculty seek out the help and the support that they need, because it is here. And faculty members like myself welcome the opportunity to be involved in their life here at the college.
And it's very important to model, it seems to me, to students the idea that they continue to be engaged or get engaged in the civic life of their communities. We are preparing them, especially in history classes, it seems to me, we're preparing them for citizenship. We're not preparing them necessarily for careers. We're not preparing them to be taxpayers. Hate that word. We're preparing them to be citizens. And as citizens in this precious, democracy that we have, they've got a responsibility to be curious about their nation's past, its place in the world, and then to act on what they learn.
When I think about how much I thought I knew after I earned my doctorate, how much more I know now, and how much more I still want to know. It's like, it's almost it's embarrassing. And but the only way to be a good prof, in my opinion, is to continually be learning. But if you think I already learned my information, I earned my degrees, I got it, and now I'm conveying it to students, it's a one-way thing. I think you're going to be boring as a teacher, and I think you're going to be boring as a person.
If I was to tell a new teacher how to perhaps become a good teacher, it would be have confidence in your beliefs, be passionate about your beliefs, but don't force them on other people. I think there's a huge, crucial, significant difference between indoctrinating, telling people what to believe, and encouraging them to develop their own beliefs.
Sometimes I'm a little frustrated with it, especially when I feel that I see my students, to my light, missing the point. If you're going to make a difference in the world, you have to start with the freedom of mind to understand the critical thinking, the ability to swallow hard truths. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, was through reading and talking about really rich texts, training your mind in reasoning and critical thinking. But I do have my moments of doubt about that, especially as I track some of my former students and see that maybe they didn't learn those lessons so well.
It certainly gives me pleasure when I try to think that I've been a part of the process of helping students to begin to ask new questions and
and really begin to see their responsibilities in a way that they hadn't done before. Yes, when that happens, it gives me a lot of pleasure. Now, one of the things that every teacher knows is you don't know when it's happening, and a student may come back to you 5 years or 10 years later and all of a sudden and say, do you know what that meant? And this was the student who sat in the back of the class, or you didn't know. You have to sort of sense that there's an atmosphere in a class that you have helped to cultivate and promote. And yes, when that atmosphere is there, it does give a great deal of pleasure.
Here you have the opportunity to teach students at various levels. This past semester, I taught freshman cohort students and worked with them, as you know, not just in their academics, but in other aspects of their life here. All right. I also taught with colleagues a beginning course in the secondary teaching credential program, preparing teachers. These are graduate students, many of them young, some of them older. But I also work with students in a doctoral program. So I got to work with students at all levels, and I loved it. It's wonderful. It was wonderful.
The San Francisco District of the Christian Brothers has been particularly attentive to the formation of their partners and colleagues. This district has hosted the Lasallian Leadership Institute and the Buttermer Institute for Lasallian Studies. And there have been a good number of people from St. Mary's College who are participating in or have participated in these programs. And I think then we become the leaven in the community to raise the awareness about what does it mean to have a Lasallian charism in this campus community.
Remember, we are in the holy. Let us remember, presence of God, presence of God.